Welcome to NEXTGames Intense Ambuscade series, November 2025 against Poroggo. Now we last saw this run exactly 2 years ago, and it's one of the best runs to come around. As long as you stick to the basic rules of the run, relatively easy and quick solo wins can be had all the way up to the very difficult difficulty, as you are about to see me do. This of course won't be possible for all gearing levels, so I'll also show a difficult battle example where things don't go as smoothly, and an easy battle example with me defeating this using Ambuscade, gear, and weapons only, and allowing myself no gear swaps or add-ons. First, let's talk about key item acquisition. Now this month's key item requires 1 frog kill for your first run of the day, and 3 experience yielding kills for multiple runs in the same day. Now I find the best place to get these is in Marjami Ravine, Bivak number 2, as you just saw me doing, or using the Frontier Station Warp to Forêt de Hentenel for access to some others. Now, on to the run itself. Now in its simplest form, this run requires you to understand a few main things for success. The first is that you cannot use the jobs of Rune Fencer, Dark Knight, Blue Mage, or Paladin this month. Just do not bring them in. If anyone in your party has one of those jobs, or if any of your trust or align with one of those jobs, it will allow the main enemy to use an ability called Quenching Hammer that does massive AoE damage to anyone within 30 feet. In addition to this, it's a full dispel ability and a spear. Now normally this is going to end your run or make it very difficult to win, so that's why you want to avoid this ability entirely, by not using those jobs. Now this ability can also be used if you ever have any songs, rolls, or geomancy bubbles on you. So that is going to make sure that bards, corsairs, and geomancers aren't going to be very useful this month, so that's a total of 7 jobs that you shouldn't be bringing in. And as long as you don't bring them into your party or trust setup, you can completely ignore this ability. Now keep in mind that healing trust, such as Monborough and Sethdas, are actually considered tanks, and they will allow this ability to be used, so you can't use them this month either. Now the next thing you want to watch out for in this run is the ability called Providence. Now this ability is used entirely at random, so in some runs you will see it right at the start of the run, and in other runs you're not going to see it at all. In my very difficult and easy battle examples, you will notice that it doesn't go off at all, and the runs go very fast. Now in my difficult battle example, it goes off at 85% health on the main enemy, which makes for a much longer run. Now this ability does a few things. It first can recover a good amount of health to the boss. In addition to that, it will summon 5 frog adds. Now these must be dealt with quickly or they can get out of hand. Unfortunately, they have a large health pool, so you don't want to kill them, and if you do kill them, then the enemy is just going to spawn them again the next time that Providence is used. So really what you're going to want to do is stall on all 5 of those adds if and when they are summoned until you finish off the main NM. Now you can do this through using gravity on them and weighing them down. You can bind them, you can stun them, but really the easiest way, especially if you're solo, is to simply sleep them. So I recommend subbing the Black Mage job, as you see me doing right here, and then casting Sleepga when and if they spawn to put almost all of them to sleep, if not all of them with a single cast. Make sure you use Elemental Seal if you can to make that first casting stick and land longer. Now you can also try to use Arc TT to use Sleepga on them when they appear, but it's not nearly as reliable. Now if you're having problems getting your Sleepga to stick, you will want to add more magic accuracy to the gear set that is on when Sleepga goes off. You can also use food such as Marine Stew Pot and Rolandberry de Fuku to boost your magic accuracy if you find that it's just not quite up to the level it needs to be. Now with all this in mind, form your party and head in with appropriate jobs and trust. Now for trust, I recommend using Arcelia, Koromoru, Kupipi, Cherokiki, or Yoran Oran. Now if you also want a little extra damage this month, go ahead and add in Shantoto 2. And if you need some help sleeping the frogs, you can add in Arc DT as previously mentioned. Now when you first engage the main boss, you want to pull him away from the rest of the group and the trust, as the enemy will cast many high-level Gauss spells and does have AoE abilities that can deal a good amount of damage to both you and them. Once he's pulled away though, enfeeble him best you can and then get to work and get your damage in. Now multi-step skill chains, as you see me using in my very difficult example, work best to cut through him quickly. Now this being said, you're not going to have the usual amount of haste from your trust because your bard's not going to be there, so you'll want to put on at least dual wield 20 gear to make sure that you've made up for it and allow yourself to still self-skill chain. Even with that in mind though, you will not always get TP in mind because you won't really be haste capped at the same level. Therefore, sometimes you're not going to be able to complete that full multi-step skill chain and you're going to miss a weapon skill. Just don't panic, continue on going, and just start it over again, and you'll hopefully will get through it before that first Providence goes off. Now if Providence is used, be ready to quickly Elemental Seal and Sleepka. Now I've noticed leaving a single frog unslept isn't really much of a risk, so you can normally just keep getting your damage in if you see that. However, if I have more than one awake, that's when I'll usually turn my focus to using Sleepka on them until I actually have all of them sleeping, or just that one. Now as you're seeing right now in my difficult battle example, the frogs have spawned early here, and I'll need to manage them for the rest of the run. While I do that, let's go ahead and talk about a few more things that could help you with success this month. First, the main NM is immune to gravity and stun. The spells he will use are fire and water based, and many of his abilities are also water based, so use your bar spells accordingly. He will use a chain spell sometime early in the fight usually, which can be risky on the higher difficulty levels, especially if more than one person is in range and taking the Ja damage. Now, each of the frogs has an end spell effect on them, such as slow, paralyze, and silence. Now if you find the one that is awake is inflicting a negative ailment that you don't want, make sure you keep it sleeping. Now the boss can use Kasutra or Impact under 50% health, but I didn't find either that much of a risk, even on the very difficult difficulty. Now it's been reported that stealing Chain Spell with Larceny results in the use of death, so keep this in mind. Now in regards to which spell you want to stick with this month, Thunder Magic will do the most damage based on resistances, so keep that in mind. Other abilities the boss can use this month include Frog Cheer, which gives the boss a potent defense boost and a regain effect, Frog Song, which is an AoE gravity ability for all players instead of the charm ability it normally is, so that's good. Magic Hammer is a single target ability that's going to inflict light magic damage and magic defense down. And lastly, there's the ability of Water Bomb. It is an AoE ability that will inflict water damage and inflict attack and magic attack down. Now I hear party strategies this month are often using Puppet Masters and Summoners to take out the enemy remotely, but you can also take them out just as easily with a party built around the ninja doing the same thing I am here in my examples, with a black mage to help sleep or a red mage, and having mages to keep the ninja alive. Really, as long as you don't use the 7 main jobs spoken of this month, there are a number of possible options for success with party play. Now, after this example, you will see my Ambuscade gear and weapons example for those that are lesser geared and want to see what that looks like. I recommend sticking to the easy difficulty this month for people who aren't comfortable sleeping, as anything higher than that, you're normally going to have problems sleeping an enemy if you don't have a good magic accuracy gear set when that Sleepka goes off. That's really all you need to know to take this month's run on. Have a great month all, and we'll see you next time.